Hey, Leaf.
Hello.
Whereabouts in the world are you, Leaf?
I'm in Germany,
Okay.
Cologne.
What time is it there?
It's 1 o'clock in the
Okay.
afternoon.
On Saturday?
Yes.
Yep. And whereabouts are you this week, Declan? Are you in England?
Yeah, I'm back in London. Midday Saturday here.
Okay, so yeah, pretty close to Germany time.
Yeah,
There.
we're always an hour out from Europe. We would be, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And it's Saturday evening your time.
Yeah,
Correct.
9 p.m. Saturday night here in Australia. Yeah. Or the East Coast. Yeah. So where are you up to on this journey, Leaf? I haven't seen you before.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, I just went through Liberation Unleashed, actually.
Yep. And what's your um how long have you been a seeker before Liberation Unleashed came along for you?
You mean, sorry, I'm a bit difficult to understand.
Yeah, yeah.
You mean what I was,
Yeah,
if I
what
was a
was
seeker before?
what
What
was
was
happening
happening before?
before that? Yeah.
Um, Well, I got a book from a friend, the one by Angelo Di Lullo.
Oh yes, yep.
Yeah, and somehow that got me interested in it.
Okay,
And
so that was a start for you. Yeah, so that wasn't that long ago then.
it wasn't that long ago, and I think really the start was like that by accident. I watched this video on YouTube where someone said, all that you basically have to do is to exist, to be. That was the core message. And that resonated so much that I was kind of, looking for, like, started to meditate and kind of thought yeah, and that feels right where I have to go. I don't know.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah, well, that's
that
good.
was maybe the initial spark for me.
All right. And that was what, only 1 or 2 years ago?
No, a couple months ago, like
Oh,
3 months before.
hey,
Yeah.
wow. Uh, I'm blown away. I was doing that stuff for 45 years before I got anywhere. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's lucky. So, and you went all the way through Liberation Unleashed. You went through the so-called gate.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
Mm.
So, has life changed for you in these last couple of months?
A little bit, but not significantly. And yeah, so I think for me, it's like, I've seen that there is no self and it cannot be unseen. However, there are still a lot of thoughts about me and about problems that I have, and that kind of sticky. And I don't know, I kind of expected it to be a much bigger shift, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I think I need to settle into it a little bit more, and yeah, that's why
Sure.
I
Yeah.
came here.
Oh, good one. Yeah, integration is a big thing, and there are a lot of ramifications for seeing through the delusion of believing in a self, and they take a while to sort themselves out, I guess. Yeah. You mentioned what I imagine what I might call expectations about how it should be or how it could be or how you would like it to
Mhm.
be. Yeah. So do you get have you had the realization that this thing called awakening or whatever you want to call it, enlightenment, awakening, doesn't exist as a thing?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because I've had the realization that just nothing changed significantly. It's more like it's not a big shift, at least for me. So,
Mm, mm.
and it's yeah, I mean, same thoughts come, same things happen.
Okay, so
And
let's talk about the result of that. What kind of level of suffering would you, well, let's call it suffering. What do you determine as suffering, and what level of that would be in your life? Is there any, a little bit, a significant amount, a lot?
something between a little bit and significant.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that would tell me, and does it tell you also that you still believe some of your thoughts.
Yeah, that's, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. But let's be super clear that going through the gated LU is akin to what the Buddhist would call stream entry. It's putting your foot on the path. It's the beginning of something rather than there is, well, as far as I know, there is no end to this path. We can walk along forever and ever, and we're always going to find things that are there, but we get better and better at the way we approach them, or the way we perceive them changes as we settle into this a lot more. Yeah. So the reason that when I say there are obviously thoughts that are still believed, and the evidence for that is that your response to those thoughts creates discomfort for you, suffering, if you like. But we could be a little bit more specific and say that the belief of those thoughts is, it reveals identification. So the particular kind of belief that we're talking about is where you believe that it's happening to somebody or in somebody, rather than what is actual, which is that it's simply happening.
Yes.
It's that connection to it. That's the identification. Yeah. So really, what we need to do is to develop some skill, some tools that we can use to investigate these things as they turn up. And that's hopefully what we discover at these groups, is a way of looking at them that gives us the opportunity to shift, not to change what happens, but to change the way we respond to what happens. And we don't change it by using willpower, because we don't have control. So you may have that in mind, that you have no control, but is there part of you, an unconscious part of you, that still believes that you have control? And the consequence of that means that you're to blame if things go wrong. And so that's part of the shitty responses to some of those thoughts. Why didn't I do it differently? Or it should be different, or whatever that come up. Yeah.
Makes sense, yes.
Yeah. So very much a journey of discovery as we learn to recognize the opportunity that these things present us when they turn up. Another way to describe that might be to say that certain things as they turn up are a portal into a recognition, or a doorway through which we can see what's actually happening. So another way to reframe this would be to say we're recognizing the difference between what is conceptual and what is actual. And it's the conceptual that leads us into suffering. Yeah. So welcome. I mean, and look, with these groups, this gets recorded and published publicly, this group. But if you ever want to speak about anything that you don't want to be published, I can easily turn off the recording while that happens. So just ask if you want that to happen. You don't need to ask permission to speak. It's really informal. We're relaxed here. If you just got something to say, jump in and say it. You don't need to put your hand up and ask permission. And do feel free to involve yourself in anybody or anything that's happening that you get called to. Nice and relaxed here. Yeah.
Okay.
So how about you, Declan? How's things for you?
Hey, it's really, really good to listen to these then, and I suppose I can't help comparing. But my looking at this in particularly started with Angelo's book, and it's really funny because I know it was 2 years ago. It was like summer 23 when I started reading it. I've kind of got a marker of something that happened, so I know it was then. And yeah, like Vince would say, like it's 45 years. I'm thinking, well, 2 years, that's quite a long time. You seem to get it really quickly. It's like, not fair. But like, yeah, joking aside, I I I always say I don't know, Vince, but I think I'm finding it increasingly hard to put things into words. Um, it's it's been a really it's been a really difficult week. Yeah, it has for me. Um, I I'm pretty sure I've seen through something's happened. Like everything is different. Everything. I can't describe that to you, but it's more of a feeling than anything else. It's just a feeling that if I say the world has changed, that
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But I know, I'm sure, I think I know that I'm still very stuck in thinking and concepts, and I think that's causing me or causing a lot of pain. Things. It's kind of coming and
Okay,
going. But
so
yeah,
so two things jump up for me here. The first thing is there. So you say the world has changed or appears to be different, right?
mm,
Tell me that's better or is it worse? What's that? Is that what's the effect of that change for you, or just different? I know it's difficult to put into words something
yeah,
like that, but
different.
give me a
No, I
general
think
feel.
yeah, I think that's that part of the problem is that I keep looking at it or feeling it, Vince, and thinking, oh, I don't know if I like this. I don't know, and I don't know. I can't seem to. It kind of feels like I just need to relax into it, but I'm either stopping myself or
Right. So would you say you feel like you're kind of on the edge, or that you're suspended, or
I feel scared. I feel scared a lot.
yeah, yeah, okay,
And and sad, but just a lot of sadness. Um,
yeah. So I really like the fact that you're feeling scared. It's not that I like that you're feeling that way, but I like the fact that you're feeling that way because that tells me that you're really your resistance is crumbling. It's a kind of a shitty way to put it, but you get what I mean, that you're scared because you're going to be what something's going to happen. What is it? You're going to lose Declan? He's gone. He's going. He's crumbling. What's happening?
yeah, and it's kind of all of that, and I can kind of feel like a bit of excitement too with that.
Sure.
Like kind of, oh God, things really can change even for older folks, and now with all of that. Yeah, totally. Life isn't what I thought it was at all. It's whoa, it's something so different. But I think I don't know, but it's just underneath that. I don't know, it's the good old nicotine or depression or whatnot, or I've made up a story. But there's just this lump of sadness that just keeps rearing its head, and
I get that.
I just feel a bit childish, but I'm trying to be gentle with myself as well. I'm thinking, no, this is hard.
Yeah, childish is fine. Yeah, absolutely. So would you think that the psychedelic trip that you did, would you think that showed you something that was real, or are you now finding that your mind is saying, oh no, it was just the drug?
No, I think it showed me something, that I think my mind is almost trying to say, oh, it was just the drug. But it's almost like, no, I felt something.
Yeah, so you kind of got this back and forward.
Yeah, which is like almost the other night, Vince, I just thought, I'm gonna go to the hospital and just because I shouted out. I was just, my mind was driving me mad. And I just shouted out, I want to fucking kill myself. And it was more like, I want to unplug from everything. I'm just, my head is just, I've had enough and blah, blah. And just that feeling of kind of, oh, it's just totally overwhelming. And then I can't even remember now why I was telling you that, Vince, but
I get that.
Just
So you could go to the hospital and they'd refer you to a psychiatrist, and he'd put you back together. He'd get Declan back there really strongly for sure.
But I think that's it. I think it's that feeling of right. Well, just fuck off. Just let me go back under the duvet with 20 cigarettes and a cake or whatever it was that used to make me feel happy, and just leave me alone, because it's that kind of resistance. I can do this, and then just think, no, just stop it, you big drama queen. There's nothing to do. All these messages. You just need to relax, man, and just.
And do you remember that if you go back on the duvet with 20 cigarettes, that you're going to die? Physically, you'll kill yourself.
Yeah, it's funny. That doesn't seem important at all now, but that's hilarious.
Might be worth it, eh?
I've forgotten that, to be honest. I've completely forgotten what kicked all that off. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I was able to remind you of that one.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
But no.
So what if where you're on the edge of, let's kind of the metaphor, if you like, of you're on the edge of the cliff. You're walking along and you're kind of every now and again the ground feels not really solid and you kind of could easily trip over and fall over. Right? What's going to happen when Declan's gone? When the ego is no longer in control. I mean, it'll still be there, but it's no longer running the show. What's going to happen? Is that going to be disaster, do you reckon?
It's like somehow I've made up this story, Vince, that when I go, when Declan goes, that there's just this darkness, there's this and I can almost see when I took the ayahuasca, the kind of like little demony kind of vision that I had, that it's now I'm talking now, and I'm not sure if this is true or whether I'm just thinking it.
That's fine.
Almost that I'm letting go of my best friend that's guided, and that's okay. A lot of suffering, but he's always been there for me. It's like another person. And to say goodbye is really hard. It's
right. Okay, let me. He's not going to be gone, you know. He'll still be around, but he'll be a bit. He won't be solid. He won't be running the show. He'll still be a good friend to you. He'll still be useful at times, but he just won't be in charge. And let's face it, he was always a poor leader.
I know it's so weird. I feel like really sorry for him. I feel like kind of I'm betraying you or something. I don't know. Like, yeah, like I know that all that suffering that I've been through and that suffering, like just let it go, just let it drop. But
Well, the way to let it drop though is
yeah,
to be happy
right,
about what's going on now.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I know it seems more
mm,
obvious that it's in transition, that there's movement going on, there's change happening, right? So there's nothing stable there. Then that's perhaps part of where the fear is a bit too. The fact that things
yeah.
are moving constantly. You know, there's nothing to grab a hold of, so to speak.
That's
Yeah.
really true. It's kind of nice in a way, like kind of I can like be crying and kind of feel this real sadness and tears 1 minute, and literally the next minute it's just like, oh yeah, no, it's fine, yeah, you know.
Mm,
Uh, but it's really destabilizing. It's like really like kind of I want to literally hold on to something solid and just kind of, whew,
yeah.
you know, yeah, yeah. Thanks for like, kind of reflecting that back. It's yeah. Mm.
But it's a little bit like trying to stand on one leg, you know. You kind of you because you're next to the wall, you want to put your hand on the wall. But if you take your hand off, it feels like, oh, you're gonna lose balance. But if you relax, you'll find that you can balance quite well. Yeah, but that's something you got to discover. That's
Yeah,
in experience, not something that your head will tell you. Your head will say,
yeah,
keep hanging on for sure. Yeah.
and it's really interesting on the little retreat I just did with one of Angelo's retreats from Leaf talking about the book last year. Was I think there's a very simple takeaway that I think is helping, where he basically seems to be saying move towards it, move towards whatever it is, or try and close the gap of whatever it is, whatever
Yeah, yeah.
emotion and that.
So
I
does
think
that
that's
make
very,
sense to you? I mean, it is counterintuitive, but does it make sense to you that the way out of it is to in through it?
yeah, it does. It does. It does.
Yeah.
I don't know if it helps in that moment. It's still like, no. But it makes sense to just kind of, what is it? Let's go and have a look. What is that fear? Why are you crying? What's, like just ask,
Yeah.
just kind of keep going into,
Well, here's
but
something
there's a,
that
hmm,
here's a lifeline I can throw you that's really, really helpful. Don't engage in the how or the why questions. Your mind will want you to, but don't get involved in how or why. There is no answer to them, right?
okay,
Change it into what. What is happening? Not why, not what it means, not
oh,
how it came about, just what, just just description of.
Vince, I'm literally going to write that down, because as soon as you said it, it feels really important um, to leave the. I think I get very engaged with how and why,
Mm, yeah, they're
especially what,
traps.
like
They're
why
suck-ins.
me? Yeah. Like
I mean,
what is that?
the mind will offer you or try and bribe you with a promise of satisfaction if you follow it down these rabbit holes of how and why, but it never delivers.
think that was the thing I was thinking as well. I was thinking like, why is it so difficult for me? Like, why is the mind or whatever my mind making it? And yeah, it's those why questions, and like, just yeah.
Yeah, and they can
Okay.
be really seductive because they,
Yeah,
you know, they know where your buttons are to
yeah.
get you involved. But yeah, but they're all diversions. Those ones, they all take you away from what is actually happening.
Thanks. Yeah, but it's really weird. It feels like a brave new world, but fuck knows what's going on. I don't really. Yeah, it's pretty.
So do you remind yourself very often that whatever turns up is fine? It's okay.
I think I forget that really quickly. When so like a goldfish or whatever the creature is that's supposed to have such a short memory, I forget that, and I just think, oh, this is scary. Oh, this is scary. And when I do remember, it's kind of like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Everything that turns up is a carrier of a message. It's writing on the wall, giving you something to look at. And the moment we start looking at the hows and the whys, you know, we create meaning for it. Instead of looking at what it is, we get lost in a story about it. What Penilla says, post-it notes on reality.
I want to just say that's really important for me, Vince. Just thank you. Yeah, to you especially.
Oh, you're welcome.
This feels like a bit of a lifeline. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're not the first one that's been down this road. And you won't be the last one.
Hope not.
How's things for you, Stelios? The ghost of the old home still jumping up in front of you?
Yeah, still here. Today I'm about to leave for 2 weeks trip. So I will be away for 2 weeks. And we'll see how things will feel like the difference. And then I will come back here again. The last days, yeah, the good thing is that I just accepting that I cannot force anything. So I don't beat myself with inquiring or just, what's wrong. And maybe some days I don't even care about it. Whatever will come. I have learned over and over again there is nothing I can rush. So there is only battle with rushing. And I have been to a deeper level of my thinking, the mechanism. And there is something I was always doing, and I have no idea about it. I can see the thoughts forming, passing and go. And some triggers me, some not. And I have seen a mechanism that it's so unconscious that I had no idea. If there is a thought that I don't like the possibility, I was always keeping it because I was thinking it will affect my reality. And this might worked. I don't know, because I was always, when there was a possibility I didn't like, I just skip it. And it didn't happen most of the times. But I can see that works or not, it was a trap of a mechanism to avoid many things.
Hmm.
What do you think about it? If there is a thought that
It is a tricky one. It is a tricky one because you know, I reckon we can get to the stage where we get triggered, and who cares? It doesn't matter, you know. But if it comes back, if we keep getting triggered, then it's saying, let's look at this. But we can get triggered, and if we're relaxed about it, there's no suffering involved. And so you can say, well, who cares? It doesn't matter. You know, it's just something else that's turned up. We don't have to
Yeah.
fix anything. We can just, it's fine. You know, that's not a problem. And it's also fine because if it really is something for you to look at, it'll keep coming back.
yeah.
So it's,
So
yeah.
it's not a wrong mechanism
No.
to skip
No.
things. But
Well,
it's the belief, is the belief beneath that if I let this thought come in, the reality will follow this thought.
try it and see what happens.
I have tried in the past. That's why I believe it. If there
Yeah.
was a possibility that I did know this, I didn't want this possibility, it was not in my head and didn't happen. So let's say I was about to have some exams. I could not see the possibility that I will fail. And didn't happen. And I was really close many times, but I was just keeping this possibility.
Yeah.
Or my father was ill, I didn't have the bad thoughts that will happen something bad. So there is a belief that some small part of me can affect reality.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you see what I discovered?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
it was always
So
running.
we all kind of grow up with some subtle superstition. You know, we kind of believe that if we let this happen, if we think that if we imagine that he could get really ill and die, that we might be somehow involved in controlling that, or so we mustn't let those thoughts in. Well, that's something to look at because that's obviously the reaction is a protective reaction. And so if you discover that you get a contraction, a body contraction when a thought turns up, that's telling you that there's something there. But if it turns up and it doesn't affect you, that it's turned up, you think, oh, doesn't matter. Who cares? You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other one that that is a bit of a boogeyman is the bypassing thing, you know. So if we get up and we use a bit of logic to chase it away, oh, there's nobody here, so therefore who's here to feel it? Well, that's just an avoidance issue. That's a distraction
Yeah.
again as well, you know. So you really got to look at what your body's telling you about how serious it is, or whether it requires, or whether it warrants any investigation or looking at, or whether it's just forget about it. It's just, see, even though we know there's no self running the show, there can be parts of us that still behave as if, that are hidden away and that we don't even know until they get triggered. And when they get triggered and you go, oh, hey, where did this come from? You know, you're curious about it. That's enough to dissolve it. You know, it won't come back. You know, or it might turn up and you go, oh, okay, there's still a belief going on there. You know, because I had a bodily contraction and my reaction to it, I would call a version of suffering, you know, or something unpleasant turned up as a result of it. Then I go, oh, okay, there's something worth investigating here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And always that investigation is in what's our connection to it? What identification has been revealed by our bodily reaction, not our thoughts, but our bodily reaction. Yeah.
And as you said, if it's a thought that it's easily skipped, you don't even notice that you skipped it. If it's come back,
Yes.
you will notice it anyway. The third, fourth time, you will notice it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to work at it; it'll
But,
show. Yeah.
yeah. But now showing this mechanism, there is a theory that I was always having and didn't know that, and now through the seeking of this, it's a little bit connected. So I would like your thought about it, that in a basic point, all reality is shaped by our interpretation of reality, right?
Keep talking.
So if everything is interpreted by thought, let's say I say a cup, maybe I don't notice it, but I form it as a cup, right? So now with this mechanism discovered, there is a theory that if everything is a thought, I shouldn't follow the bad thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the brain producing an expectation about what it is that we're relating to, whether the cup, for example, right? The fact that we are relating to a concept called a cup, that's handy. That's a labor-saving device that the brain does. Right? We only need to discover that there is this thing called direct experience that is beyond description and labels, just to have it clear, to recognize that we're relating to a concept called a cup. And the usefulness is that the concept means that you've got a vessel that you can drink out of, that you put liquid into, or that you can put your spoons and knives into it if you like, or whatever you're going to do with the cup. If you're entranced by the experience of your relationship in the visual to what's going on there, and you're not involved in the concept of cup, it's not a cup. It's an experience of seeing, and you can't drink out of that. That's useless. So the conceptual thing is very useful to do, but there's just value in us recognizing that it is a concept, because it's always concepts that create our suffering, never the actual, never what is actually going on. Right? But see, you're getting to a tricky point here too, because the reality is it's stories all the way down. You know, everything is the result of thought. our experience, what we call reality. Everything is all the result of thought. But we don't need to go there until we get to a level where you are, you know, like in the beginning, that creates problems. We, you know, in the beginning, we got to say, well, there are useful thoughts and not useful thoughts. Let's just recognize that most of our thoughts are bullshit thoughts. But what we're talking about is our thoughts that create meaning for what our experience is, rather than what the actual thing is. So we don't know what the absolute is. We can only interpret that. And whether or not there really is an absolute beyond what we interpret, that's another story. We don't know. You know, quantum physics might have an idea about it, and fairy stories have an idea about it, but we don't know what it is. It's just a mystery for us. So we can't really, you know, and why bother anyway? What we've got is what we've got, which is our interpretation of this thing we call reality. Right? But that the result of that is that let's hold it loosely. You know, if you ask me, what is that really? I have to say, I don't know. It's not important for me to appear like I have knowledge, because the reality is I don't. I just have my story about it. I don't know what it really is. Yeah. So there are certain things that get into what we call the absolute, and the mystery about that, where it's interesting but not important to get involved in. It's of no value to you to get involved in that.
But always will be our interpretation of reality, right?
Yeah.
We cannot go beyond this.
No.
It will always be the interpretation of Vince, my interpretation, right?
Yep.
So everything is formed by interpretation.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's why this mechanism, knowing this, tries to avoid bad interpretation of reality. Not bad, but things that,
Well, that's a good one. That's true. So if it's all story, let's just have a good story and not bother with the bad stories.
yeah,
Well, that's a good story too.
of
Because
course it is. Yeah,
how do we do that? Because we don't have choice or control.
I think it's not so good story. It's not useful.
Yeah.
The story that you have to choose between good stories and bad stories is not a good story.
That's a shitty story. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have to choose. I can see it happens automatically. I just saw the mechanism.
Of course,
After many
of
years,
course.
I saw the mechanism.
And even the idea that you saw the mechanism is a fact. You did not really saw it because
It's also a story. Yeah.
yes, and when in the beginning you said that you skip some stories, it's also a story. You don't really skip anything. It's just what
I
happens in
don't.
your mind.
Yeah, I don't do it.
So,
I know this.
but can you see that it actually makes you absolutely free? You don't do anything.
Yeah,
So it for the me it's a source for problem, but for what is, it's a source. It's not a source. It's the freedom itself, because everything is happening.
happened.
Yeah, and so no real problem. But for the me, it's a problem to not having any problems. So it's searching all the time. Am I skipping? Am I? Is it good? Is it bad? What I have to do,
Yeah.
not to do.
Yeah,
While
I think only.
while it's all fine already. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was just a discovery of the mechanism, and I think it's really nice that I saw this. It was something really behind all the
Yeah.
looking that I thought I was doing. It came up so, and I was always doing this. So I just saw the mechanism, that's it.
Yeah, and the idea of the absolute, it is absolute. Like there is no some beyond absolute. This experience is absolute because if it was not, you could change it. You could
Manipulate.
make it more absolute, but it is already absolute. So it's not some airy absolute. It is as it is already absolute. Yeah.
For this reality, this is absolute reality. We're in this reality anyway, right?
What do you mean?
It's the only reality. What are you talking about? It's all realities. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't know if it's the only reality, but for this experience, it's the
Well,
only experience.
yeah, but
Yeah.
there is nothing else. It's yes, it's like from the point of view of the me, it can see like it seeing it or something or a thought or a sensation. But if yeah, probably I have to open the door. I'm sorry. I think you.
Yeah,
One
no
moment.
problem.
Mm. So there's a really interesting paradox that comes out of this, and that is that my idea of you and of Declan and of Anton and of Leaf is just my idea. I have no idea what the actuality is for you guys. And every one of you is going to look at me, and every one of you is going to have a different idea about Vince. Right? And it's the same with the world. So if there's five trillion billion people on the world, every one of them is going to have a different world that they live in, and it's their world, the world that they interpret. And yet, this story about oneness turns up, that we're all one and it's all the same and there's no difference. Well, that gets beyond the ability to describe. Some people experience that. I've had moments of experiencing it, just moments. And I don't, but it's, I don't know what I'm experiencing. You know, let's say if I have that experience, it's just how I describe it. And if somebody
It's
else
a
has it,
feeling.
yeah. And if somebody else has it, I imagine it's different for them, you know. So we've got this paradox of everybody lives in their own world, everybody is really alone, yet connection is such a huge thing. People connected to each other, people connected to a place, connected to home, connected to feeling like they belong. That's also a big part of the oneness thing rather than the individual thing. But it gets beyond description. Can't be described. But it's a really interesting one. And it's just there's no satisfactory anything about that. It's just bloody
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
So let's say we're 8 billion people, and each one of them have them or their own reality. So are they 8 billion realities formed in this virtual reality, or it's just 8 billion illusions of the actual?
You know what? I don't know. I have no idea. I imagine my story is that it's 8 billion different perspectives about the same reality. But it's also 8 different unique experiences of that reality. But see, that reality is the unknowable, what it is that they're experiencing. And that's just, again, that's just my story. That's just how I make sense of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what is actual. I have no idea what is actual. I don't even know what goes on here for me.
So it's always experience our interpretation. That's it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
don't be attached to the interpretation.
No,
Slowly.
no, my interpretation today is different to yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. That
Every
was keeping
experience
me.
changes us, and the only thing that is actual is our experiencing. So we are constantly changing. Never still, always.
Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely. I mean, what a mind boggle. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was also a trap for me because, as you could see from our talks, the interpretation changes every day, as you said. And I was keep attaching to the memory of what the fuck. I had this interpretation yesterday. It was so clear, and today it's a mess. Because it's a mess because I'm trying to relate to the previous memory.
Yeah. But we've been conditioned in that way too. That's an interesting one to look at, that we've been told all our life that stability is important, that we have to have something we can grab a hold of and stand still and strong, when the reality is we're more like water, we're more fluid than something solid. Yeah.
Do you mind to ask a theoretical question?
No, there is no such thing, but you go for it. Yeah.
If we're now human beings were born in the jungle, no society, no school, do you think to know this stuff that we're looking for, it will be easier? That, language, society, conditions, in the jungle, we could move freely through the water, the rain, the food, the hunger, the sex, it will be more spontaneous. And I think what we're trying to do here is to be more spontaneous, right?
Yeah, I think in a way we're
not
trying to get back to the basics in a way, but I have no idea about that. I mean, there have been many movies made about different societies where we have different rules or different experiences. And what about the kids that get brought up by the wolves, or the Rudyard Kipling kind of stories about, the boy that was brought up by the apes in the jungle, or the wolves, or whatever, that who knows what
Can I say something about
yeah, jump
that?
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I recently read a book by Harari. I don't know what the English title is, but and somehow there was the idea that early on we were like hunters and gatherers, right? And these people were more concerned with the now, with the here and now, because they were not planning things. They didn't have any, they were moving from place to place, where there was food and stuff. And later on, when people start to like settle and be farmers, they started to have to plan. And that's kind of when there was a shift, when people started to be more in, more in plans and thoughts and concepts.
Yep,
So maybe
ownership became a thing then.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Didn't exist really before.
Yep. Yeah, there's some really interesting research out there about how language has changed us. And to me, it's really, really obvious how language is a huge part of our conditioning. But get this one. There some colours are were not seen by people in the world until the word for that colour turned up. That's an interesting one, isn't it? So our perceptions are shaped by language as well as other things. Yeah. So
think
before we had language, imagine primitive man before we could talk to each other. Would obviously be a really, really different experience, wouldn't it? But we can't imagine it because none of us are without language.
Yeah, I think that one really sits with me, Vince, especially since I've always thought that with language, like you almost kind of can't separate language from thought. Like, is it possible to think without language? And I can't answer that because I can't kind of I can't do it. Like, I don't know how. Maybe I can think of a yellow circle, but is that the words or is it I don't know. But with the ayahuasca, it felt really clear to me. I just thought, oh, Declan is a stream of thought. And it was almost like a Times Square kind of ticker tape of words going past of who I was and one. And I thought, oh, without the words, I literally don't exist. So I just need to switch off the words. And that, I don't know, I felt that in a really visceral way, that there's something about language, putting labels to concepts, that helps us construct a world, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's not, yeah. So this is a good one and an important one, I think, too. It's not the words, it's our connection to the words. It's our belief in what they mean. But I think you're right. It would be a really interesting experiment to just deprive everybody in the world of words, the ability to think them or use them in any way, shape, or form. What would happen? Wow, it would be chaos, wouldn't it? Who knows? Yeah.
Maybe it will be much simpler. If you don't have words and language, maybe it will be calmness and then some images. Maybe probably we'd have only the images and not the talking.
Yep.
And it will be more clear to get to what we're trying to do in this society.
Well, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I say the word walk, and my dog runs in circles immediately, gets really excited. Now, she has no idea of the meaning of the word walk, but she takes the sound
So,
of the word, and that means that she's going to go for a walk. And she likes going for a walk, and she gets very excited about that. And so the words are in fact a sound that she's attached a meaning to. And so again, it's not the words, it's the sound of the words.
the sound.
It's the connection, the meaning that we apply to that. And that's our connection. That's where the identification comes from when certain words refer back to this organism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. How's things been for you, Jed? You're looking
Um,
serious.
I look serious, do I? That's my thinking face. That's my pondering face. They've actually been really good. Um, what I took, especially from our last chat, was the I can't remember what the root of it was now, but it was basically just bringing an attitude of curiosity to. Oh, that was it. To yeah, and you talked about I was talking about kind of down feelings, moods, low mood. Um, yeah, and it really resonated what you said about just kind of creating new pathways in the brain, and so I've been doing that pretty consistently. Anytime I've noticed something negative come up, I've just gone, oh, that's interesting, that's curious, and it just brings a lightness, and it kind of brings me back to the present, I suppose, or something. So it's been a pretty gentle, contented week,
Hmm.
really.
Excellent, excellent, good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. Yeah,
And the
um,
noticing of that takes you out of story mode, takes you out of the mental convolutions that would have gone on otherwise as well.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good stuff.
yeah, yeah. I'm kind of interested in. I don't know. It seems that your approach is to kind of work with the whole organism. I mean that. I don't know. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh, but is that just a story about whether how I deal with feelings, what feelings got to do with me seeing through the self, that kind of stuff. But it seems that a healthy brain, mind, body has got to be a good thing regardless, and maybe an easier place to be with shifting sense of reality, and we're able to integrate it or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
it's just a story, I suppose, but
yeah, we can kind of try and describe things that way. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any plan. I don't have a way of doing it. It's just the way it happens, you know. It's pretty, but I for the life of me, you know, your big toenail is as important as any other bit of you, whether it be mental or physical, doesn't matter. You know, we're all, and your environment is too, because your environment is you. You are your environment.
mm,
You create it as well as your relationship to it. So it's more than just the organism, for sure.
mm, mm,
Everything you can hear and see and smell and feel is also you.
mm, yeah, yeah. Yeah, for some reason, it's making me think of somebody gave me a book of Hafiz poems recently. Did you come across Hafiz? Um,
I love haiku.
well, I don't. A lot of these are not haiku. I don't know if he does haiku, but he's a kind of Rumi style poet also from Persia, similar period. And somebody said to me recently, a very awake kind of person, that their practice is poetry, reading poetry, and I'd never thought of that before. And then they gave me this book, and yeah, when I read a poem and it, it points, they're really strong pointers, these poems, and
Mm.
just totally bring me into a much, I don't know, some not quite an altered state, but just feeling very peaceful
Yes,
and
yeah,
nothing
I get
drops
what you mean.
away,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Stories are of any kind, are really excellent. I just love the way they evoke a, a whole of body, including mind, kind of response. They
Certainly.
don't just trigger the mind into things. You get, especially with poetry, it's something beyond that you get
That's
in.
right.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 elevates or transforms, transcends. Yeah, but like you say, in a way, it's maybe transcending from the thinking mind, but like you say, it feels like the whole body has shifted into this kind of sweetness and peace. Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
Well, you do that with your music. That's yeah. Your
Do you
music
know
is
it's diff
a version of poetry, isn't it?
It is, but when it becomes a job, it's really hard to, I don't know, for me, there are certain sweet jam sessions with friends in a very informal setting where I can experience that, but rarely in a public environment do
Yeah.
I personally, I'm sure, very, very skilled musicians and practice performers can do that, the Ravi Shankars and the Jimi Hendrixes. But for me, I'm thinking of trying to remember the next chord, and seeing if
Oh
everybody's
yeah, yeah,
enjoying it.
okay, yeah. Yeah, but those people that you mentioned, th- the skill is almost a secondary thing, it's the attitude they bring to it, isn't it? They just
Well,
yeah.
I think it's both. I think they've mastered the instrument to such a level that the playing of it is no longer requires the
Mm,
mind, I think. And
yeah,
and
it's
I'm a
all
long
just
way
that
from that.
happening, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Effortless.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes with very simple stuff that I feel very confident with, this for me has become simple that I've mastered. Yeah, then it can be get into the zone with it. But I was listening the other night, just listening to music, first time in a while that I've really, instead of, I normally listen to your meetings at night before I'm going to sleep, but I put on some Pink Floyd and that did it. Yeah, it acted like the poetry. It's been a while, coming back round on the spiral to experience the music now, this point in my life. I've appreciated it more deeply, I think, than
Yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I never, as a younger person, could really understand the words of any songs because it was much to do with my hearing. So the words, the singing itself, was just like another instrument for me. So but yeah, and Pink Floyd, I just love Pink Floyd, and I just think that 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 music is so evocative. It just I just even just as I'm describing it, I've got goosebumps. I
Me
can
too.
feel that almost as a twisting around that goes on inside me because of that
Uh,
music. It's
yeah.
pretty clever stuff. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
so good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm tingling all over, remembering Shine On You Crazy Diamond that I was listening to the other night. It's just epic, isn't it? It's just so beautiful. And the kind of the beauty of the words as well, once, if you do appreciate the words and the, you know, knowing the story of Sid Barrett and their homage to him in the music, and you know, him getting lost in his madness. It's really moving.
Isn't it also interesting that, or have you experienced that when you listen to music, that sometimes the hearer is in the way of really listening to it? Like, because there's also a lot of interpretation going on and a lot of concepts and stuff. So I I have this a lot when I'm on concerts, that, you know, my mind starts thinking and having a lot of thoughts related to myself, you know, like, and that really gets in the way of really just listening to it.
Mm.
I find it really hard sometimes to just
Sure.
only experience the music and nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you may have had the experience but never analyzed it or recognized it. But when you're really listening to music, it becomes feeling more than hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I use singing bowls when I do. I teach yoga and meditation, and when I do the singing bowls, I say to people, see if you can feel the sound
Yes.
rather than just hear it.
Well,
And you
that's a
really can with those singing bowls,
yeah.
can't you? You know, there's
Yeah.
so much going on.
I think they're designed to vibrate at a frequency that the body responds to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I went through a phase of putting them on my body, you know, and you could get a big singing bowl on the chest or on the tummy or a small one on the head. And that just, it's almost like a psychedelic experience, you
Yeah.
know.
I could imagine. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So a good one of the exercises that I'll use with people um, is to listen, get into some music and listen to it. Words don't really work. Immerse yourself in it, but no, let it immerse itself in you to where you are feeling the music, and then invite the mind to ask, who's listening, or what am I listening to? And observe the fact that you lose touch with the hearing, the feeling, the music itself gets pushed out by the mind trying to find who it is that's listening to it, or the labels of that it's music coming from, or it's music about, or it's music and whatever instrument, whatever the music actually is in terms of description. Again, you lose touch with the hearing of the music. The immersion in the music stops when you ask those things. And so while you're in it fully, there is no I and there is no music. There is just experiencing. And it's a classic example of how self is a mental construct. That's all it is.
So kind of shifting between letting yourself merge with the experience, be the experiencing, and then kind of
Just look for a
analyzing with
who.
something,
Yeah.
and then
As
go
soon as
back
you
to
look for the who, you lose that experience. Yeah.
yeah.
But when you do it, and you actually experience it, it's a real slap in the face kind of realization that the Who is only a concept, pure concept.
How would you experience music if you had no education, musical education, or no, if you had never heard music before?
Oh, I imagine that you would go straight into a direct experience of it. It's the mind's analysis and description and so on that kind of comes from that education. The educated mind wants to think about it rather than experience it.
Would it sound like noise, just like noise, or could you still enjoy it?
It's interesting. I've had experiences of hearing music from a culture that I wasn't familiar with, and you know, it can sound quite weird and kind of not unmusical and kind of hard to like it if you don't have any cultural references or something, you
Yeah,
know.
like even like ragas are difficult to hear for me or to enjoy because they're so different.
Yeah. Well, of course, it's what we're used to as well as right. And one of the reasons I think we like Pink Floyd is because it is a bit different. It's not. It doesn't fit a whole lot of the other things, but it does also fit a whole lot of harmonics and so on that we've come to like. But some instruments, especially from different cultures, don't fit any of the stuff that we've been educated to. So consequently, it can feel a bit funny. But I suspect, and I don't know. I mean, I'm only imagining things here. I do suspect that there are certain resonances that we instinctively like, and others that we don't like. I mean, do we? I mean, they manipulate our emotions in movies with music all the time. And certain chords are designed to evoke sadness. Certain instruments like violins will make us, that can get us into our sad state a lot easier than other instruments. So is that a learned thing or is it a natural thing? I have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, some combination, I guess. And what we appreciate changes, doesn't it, with that as our culture evolves. I mean, you know, there's the classic. There's an interval in music that they used to call the Devil's Interval, um, flat fifth, and Jimi Hendrix turned it into well, he wasn't the first one, but he used it in a chord a lot, and it's now called the Jimi Hendrix chord, and people love it. You know, there's something crunchy and a bit dissonant that kind of makes us feel something good, whereas in the past they thought that was just like, "Ooh, that's just makes you feel like the devil's present or something."
I'll just interrupt this silence to say, Leaf in particular, if we're experiencing silence, that's fine, and it's always an invitation to look at what the mind does when silence happens. It seems to be that the mind tends to get a bit hectic sometimes with silence. So if it is, it's worth watching. But it's an opportunity for anybody to bring up anything that they've got. And if it doesn't happen, well, we'll just have a bit of meditating before we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that my mind is very concerned with things like a lot of thoughts about the I, like how I come across, how people view me, stuff like that. Do people like me? And yeah, it's I see I see this happening, and
So the question about where the juice is how do you feel about that? What's your reaction to that when you see that happening? Do you think it's wrong? Do you judge it? Yeah.
yeah, I guess there's this underlying thought that, okay, no, that's wrong. It shouldn't be happening. Shouldn't be my concern.
Mm.
And that's another thought, of course,
Yes. Yep.
another concept. And yeah.
And can you see that the possibility that second thought is a way of diverting you, distracting you from where the juice really is, and that is what's behind the first thought that turned up about, do they like me? Am I okay? Whatever your version of that is. So the idea that it's wrong is a good distraction away from what is actually happening. So again, we can't control what happens, but because of this conversation, perhaps next time that happens, you'll go, oh, okay, it's happened. I wonder what triggered it. And it will be a belief about yourself that you have that you project out onto other people. So you'll be imagining that they might not like you because of something that you actually believe about yourself. And when you see that, in most cases, when you see that, you'll just go, ah, that's crazy. No need for that. That's a ridiculous thing. But you've never got to see that because you're always going, it shouldn't be there. Something wrong with me. I shouldn't have those feelings. And so you can build up a whole story that takes you away, a long way away from the original thing that got triggered because of some belief you've got about yourself, not being good enough, not being something. Whatever it is will be revealed in what you imagine they might think of you. That will tell you what that belief is about, what's going on. And a really good technique is just to look for that moment of recognition when you step outside of the content of that thought, that line of thinking, and you recognize that it happened. And so that's a really key point. The moment you recognize, oh, it turned up again, it happened. I felt, oh, I wonder what they'll think of me. Right? It's not about what they thought of you or any of that, but rather the moment that you recognized that thought turned up and that there was that bodily response to something that happened as well. So there'll be a contraction in the body, a bit of a tightening up. That moment of recognition is your portal into what's underneath it, that belief that you've got about yourself. Now, that might happen or it might not happen, but a good chance it will sometimes and maybe not other times. Depends on the intensity and depends on the circumstances, depends on who it is. You know, you'll find it with certain people, it's more important that they see you in a good light, so it happens more frequently with them than with others. Doesn't matter so much with your own family, for example. Maybe it matters more with your parents if they're still around. That can be certainly a big one for us. They're the ones that were involved in our original conditioning, so they'll trigger us. Yeah. Stelios had a fantastic example where he came home to the family home. None of his family were there, but the home that he grew up in triggered stuff for him. Wow, how about that? That's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, that's what one of the things that Ram Dass said. If you think you're so enlightened, go spend a weekend with your family. You'll realise for sure. Yeah. So every time something like that turns up, it's an opportunity. And this is the thing. Now that you're seen through the delusion that there's a self running the show, you're much more open to recognizing the opportunity in things that get triggered. And it's kind of a clean out. It'll just happen. Things will get triggered that even though there's no actual foundation for it anymore, they kind of stayed hidden. You might say in the shadows, some people will describe it that way, until they get triggered. And when they get triggered, you'll go, look at that. There's no point in that one. It's just turned up because it's never been exposed before. Now it's exposed, it's gone. Or there's still a belief there. They're just opportunities. So we look forward to shit happening. We look forward to getting triggered because it gives us an opportunity to clean out a bit more. I mean, it's pretty obvious, logically obvious, that although you've seen through the delusion that there is a self there running the show, for you to have thoughts or feelings about how others might see you, there's still some aspect of you that believes that there is a self there to have an opinion about.
Yeah.
Can I?
But it doesn't.
Can,
Yeah, you go.
Are you sure, mate? I was just going to say, can I? I almost in real time. Can I kind of go through? I'm not. I think I understand, but I'm not quite sure. But I was just feeling that a lot of what I've said in these conversations and over the past few weeks, that I've felt very needy and unable to cope, or that's my fear that I can't cope, or like I kind of said to you jokingly, but I think it is a fear of being a drama queen, kind of I don't know, yeah. But I was just thought, oh, right, okay, that's a belief I've got about myself. And I just kind of got stuck there, that what's the belief? Is the belief that I shouldn't be needy, or is the belief that feeling needy is wrong and I need to try and cover it up or something? But But what do you suggest, Vince, once I get to that? There's something core there. I know there is. I can feel it. As soon as I say the words, I can feel a reaction. It's like just kind of recognizing that's whoever I think Declan is kind of running the show, or what do I do with that?
Look, yeah, it gets a little bit tricky. It could be that. Well, let me backtrack and come in from a slightly different angle. Your personality persists, right? And that's the way you talk, the way you hold yourself, your ease of getting into laughter or sadness or whatever those kind of things. They're conditioned, but they're also involved with our DNA. You know, they're also part of our physical thing, and so to a large degree, that kind of stuff is going to persist. It's going to still be there, right? It doesn't mean anything. It's just the way you are. It's just your nature. It's like the nature of the apple might be revealed by the color of the skin. Well, that's just the color of the skin. It's still an apple. So regardless of how you are in personality wise, you know, you're human. So that's the thing. But on the other hand, it could well be that it does reveal something about a belief or an identification in you. What is who are you? Who is this person? Right now we because of the way we're conditioned and the way we're brought up, we can, you know, we adopt the critical view that our parents had of us. That's a big one, you know, and other adults, and the way we believe we should be, that's developed from all of that kind of thing. So if you go, that's I'm a drama queen, well, so what? But if you go, I'm a drama queen and I shouldn't be, there's a problem. The I shouldn't be is the judgment that says I should be different. Now, whether you'll be different or not, well, you probably will be different by, you know, when you kind of clean out a bit more of these beliefs that there's somebody there. But at the same time, people on the outside might not see any different. But I mean, who gives a fuck if you're a drama queen? Not me.
No, that's
But
beautiful.
you do, you know? Yeah.
But some part of me is saying you shouldn't be, or
Yeah.
it's be better if you weren't, or something like that. And that's just seeing that's really, really
Yeah.
powerful.
Well, see, the thing is, it happens. You can't control that, right? But do we add to that the response to a judgment about it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the judgment's that's the fatal part almost, isn't it? It's just the apple's red.
Yeah.
So what?
I mean, I'd much rather have the red hair I had when I was a kid, and, you know, a square chin with a dimple in it like Superman had, and you know, a different shaped nose than the one I've got, you know, that wasn't. But fuck, I'm stuck with what I've got. So what's the point of complaining about it?
Yeah. No, it's really useful. Thank you.
But here's a slight a bit of a twist on it. That's good. That's an important one. If you find that the idea that I'm a drama queen turns up, and if you find that you go, I shouldn't be that way, and then you recognize that a judgment has happened and there are recriminations or an attitude of that, it's absolutely the way it was, the way it is. There is absolutely no point in saying, well, I shouldn't be a drama queen. Oh, hang on, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I shouldn't judge that I said that. Oh, I shouldn't judge that I judged that. And off we go in some kind of endless loop of judging the judgment.
Yeah.
You know, at some point you're going to crack up and laugh at the ridiculousness of it all, aren't you? Yeah.
Whatever it just is. Thanks.
But it's you know, we can have in the back of our mind that, well, maybe one day that won't happen, or even that, you know, that shows something that I don't like, or whatever. But just that, I'll just say, send them over to the other side of the room and let them do their thing. Let them go on with these judgments and thoughts about all of that, and just don't engage with it. It's already happened. You can't do anything about it. Right? And you got and have the and include over the other side of the room the idea that, well, maybe one day it'll be different. Maybe one day I won't. Maybe one day I won't be a drama queen. Maybe one day I won't care about being a drama queen. Maybe one day I won't care about caring about it. Who knows what will happen? We don't know.
I think I was thinking as well, Vint. I think it's all this idea of like kind of something being revealed as a bit of shadow work to be done or something like that. That I get the feeling what you're saying. Sometimes that's just a belief you've got about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm less inclined these days, thanks to Marius, but I'm less inclined these days to say, well, we've got to root out what's underneath that. You know,
Okay,
we don't really, you know, we just recognize that it's there and that's enough.
Yeah.
We don't have
Okay.
to find the details of it anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might be appropriate, but yeah, mostly I think it's a bit of a, you know, what Marius says to me, he says, is you just encourage people to keep stories going. And I probably do. So, you know, yeah.
I love that kind of like honest debate between you and Marius. It's like, no, you don't do it like that. But that's really funny. I can kind of see both and just think, if I think it's going to help, that I'll go down that story
Yeah,
route.
absolutely. Yeah, for
You
sure.
knock yourself out, like you said. You know, you go and see a psychiatrist. That's absolutely fine. You do whatever, you know.
Yep.
But it's really good to hear. Yeah. And it can almost like intuit some kind of story behind it anyway. You know, it's I kind of probably trot you out 2 or 3 different versions now if you feel like it. But yeah, how true they'll be is it's a different.
Yeah, that's all right. That's irrelevant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And you do get to a point where you trust your own intuition. You trust that you've got the tools to cope with whatever turns up, or to put it in its right place, or see it appropriately.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would just add that it's everything from the bottom of the whale, like the shadow stuff. It's never resolved underneath. Like it comes up to the consciousness and resolved here. So we don't really have to go down. But even when it is coming up, it can seem that we are going to it, but it's always the our way around. So it's not because we are not really moving.
That's interesting, Anton. You say it's always the other way around. It's always like the issue, what the issue is always coming up.
As like if
whether we like it or not, yeah.
The less you move, in a way, the more it comes up, because it's have the freedom to. You are not resisting, so it comes up.
Yeah.
But so it's really there is nothing to.
And then another interesting kind of extension of that is that the more stuff you clean out, the less stuff there is holding down stuff. So the more stuff comes up until it kind of thins out a bit. And a lot of people, well, it seems like the old days now, but I don't know. But yeah, people used to go, "Oh, I'm back to square one because something else has come up." When in fact it's not. You know, it's because they've cleaned out stuff that more stuff can come up. But that's a brilliant concept that Anton just talked about. You know, it always happens in the now. It always happens at the surface. If we dive down looking at the origins of it, we're not working on the origins. We're only working on what's current. And our whole organism has got a way of knowing what we can cope with, knowing what we need to cope with. It will present us with what's there to be dealt with. And it never gives us so much that we can't cope with it. It might seem like that sometimes, but it only gives us what we can cope with. Because it's us. It knows exactly what we're able to handle. So whatever it is there, it's absolutely perfect.
And there is nothing else. So.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just something else that comes to mind too, Leaf. Come late, leave early. Don't have to say goodbye. Just disappear if you want. No problems at all. Don't worry about being polite. Yeah, exactly.
Can I say something about what we said before about how people look at us, how we think people look at us. For me, it was a big realization when I discovered the stupidity of it. Because we have seen that thoughts is not us, right? It's not who we are. So it's about believing a thought about what other people think about you. So it's a double imaginary scenario.
Oh, it's more than double. Yeah, I get that. It's double there, but yeah,
Totally sure.
when you recognize that, when I recognize that my idea of you is my interpretation, but that my interpretation is shaped by my experience. I can't imagine anything that hasn't been part of my experience. So my experience shapes my interpretation of you. And so consequently, what I imagine I'm seeing in you is me, is my projection. And so if
It's always a mirror, yeah.
anybody looks at me, they're just projecting their own ideas. And I've got no control over that whatsoever. And you know what? I don't give a fuck, whatever it is. It's just their idea of me.
And you don't even know if this it's their idea. It's what you think is their idea. This is the stupid
It's
thing.
just, yeah, that's the double, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a quadruple thing, isn't it? Yeah, back on top of
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
And we're so scared about this, and it's only a projection on a projection that we.
yeah. And when we recognize that it's our projection, our idea of them, when we recognize, when we believe that our idea of them is that they're having an idea of us, that is also our projection, which is also clearly our own belief about ourselves.
Yeah. I think other people, it's always a mirror. Always, always. Sometimes we cannot see through the mirror because it's too scary for us for some reasons. Maybe it reminds me of some past experience, our father, our mother. But in a calmer way, it's the best mirror for yourself. Everything I think about Vince, it's me.
Yep. Hi, Bianca.
Hi. I think about these projections. It is, it is very obvious that if I receive some assignment to work or not, it depends on this projection that people have of me. It has nothing to do with who I really am. But yet I can't say it's completely not important.
Oh, no, no. And it's obviously not accurate to say that their projection of you has nothing to do with you, right? Because they've interpreted things
Oh,
that you've
and
said and done. Yeah.
yes, I have skills to manipulate their projection of me.
Mm.
Even if I know it's just a projection, so what?
Mm.
I was also thinking when you were talking something about being more fluid, and I thought came that this is something that women were often accused of, being too fluid.
Yeah, well, that can get into all sorts of things, couldn't it? Maybe uh, that's a whole reason why men were envious of women's flexibility, and especially women's ability to be emotional. Was it I don't know. I don't think it's the same today as it used to be. Or maybe it is the same in some cultures or some areas of some cultures. But yeah, women were always seen to be more emotionally supple than men. It's a shame Declan's gone, otherwise, because I would say, unless you're a drama queen.
Yeah, but it may be something organic
Could be,
for
sure.
women. Like I
Yeah.
know that 2 weeks from now I will be thinking completely differently. And it's
Well,
just how it is. It's
Mm.
just don't make important life decisions within short period. Give it a month.
Yeah. Don't go shopping when you're hungry.
But yeah, it can be also that there is less expectation on women to be so stable and
I've seen a lecture recently about how male brain and how female brain works. And it's like for males, we have little boxes. We take out things, we put it again, and it's like one task every time. In a woman's brain, he said that it's like a wire connected to all the boxes, and it's very connected to the feeling. So just see the mechanism, and you can be very forgiving about how male brain works, how female brain works. I think in some strong point, it's very about manufacture, the structure of each brain.
yeah, but you Vince also know this, but saying what I think is difficult because thinking is not linear and speaking is linear. Or linear?
Yeah,
maybe,
in one straight line. Yeah.
So for you, feeling is more prominent than thinking. For you, feeling is more obvious than try to express your thoughts.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I was accused so many times of being too intellectual. But
Yeah, we get close to stereotypes when we have to be careful with that. Yeah.
By nature, women are usually more connected to the earth and to the nature. So, and the nature is fluid, not rigid, and men usually afraid of it somehow because I don't know.
Yeah.
This is always a
Yeah.
story, of course, but it seems that because women have to not have to, but usually given life to children, and so the whole system have to be really connected, like to the earth, to the But it's always story, of course. Yeah.
Well, society has given women a nurturing role and men a different role, but that's changing these days, I think, a fair bit. It's not uncommon these days to see a husband in a nurturing role, um, more so than it used to be.
Is there a fixed ending for these meetings? Or? No.
I mean, there is a point where Vince says, I have to go, but it's okay to leave at any time.
Yeah, usually if nobody else comes up with something after a while, I'll say it's time to wind up. But yeah. I was thinking that just before Bianca turned up, but now she's here, we'll wait a bit longer.
Okay, so I have to go to not hold you.
Yeah, yeah. Depends on how many people turn up too, so but sometimes when there's 15 or more people, we can go for 3.5 hours. Other times when there's only a few people turn up, we don't go as long. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have the luxury that today I'm completely free. Um, like family, they are gone. I just have time. So that's good.
Yeah, I'm glad you came. It's good to see new faces. Hopefully you found it somewhat useful, if
Oh
not
yeah,
at least entertaining. Yeah.
yeah. I'm glad I came. Very nice to meet all of you.
Yeah. Good. Okay, well, we will wind up then, eh? Everybody happy for that? Yeah. Thank you. We'll see you
Bye
all
bye.
when I'm looking at you.
Bye.